Good morning. Good morning. I'm Carrie Johnston, your Detroit Lakes Regional Chamber of Commerce president. Thank you all for being here. We're so excited to be able to share some of the growth and the successes and great stories of the Detroit Lakes region. A few housekeeping things I just want to note. The restrooms are out in the hallway if you need it. A reminder about cell phones. There's always someone, so check your cell phone, make sure that's turned off or to silent. And I do want to mention that we are videotaping, so if you have coworkers or people who just couldn't be here, we're going to attempt to videotape and then put this up on YouTube. So look at the Chamber e-blast and we'll let you know when that's available. I want to recognize a special thank you to La Barista for the great breakfast and to the Community Center for being our host again this year. We're so excited to be able to share the great stories of this area. With that, I want to move right into our program. We've got a really full schedule. I think we've got about a dozen speakers who want to share their story and tell about their businesses and their projects. So I want to really quick just welcome up Amy Degerstrom. Amy is the executive director of the Becker County Museum, which is right next door to where you are. If you haven't been to the museum, make sure you stop in. Collection is absolutely fabulous, and that's not because I was Amy's predecessor, but because the museum is really fabulous. We're really lucky to have such a great collection that actually started as early as 1870s and 1860s. Before we were even a town of Detroit Lakes, the pioneers knew they need to save their collections and their stories and the history of Becker County. So welcome, Amy Degerstrom.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for having me this morning. As Carrie said, I'm coming to you from the Becker County Museum, which is the kind of public face of the Becker County Historical Society, which has been in existence since 1943 officially, starting with a museum in the basement of the courthouse, moving to this building in 1989. And we are now in a really exciting phase for the museum's future, which is to construct a new building as ours has kind of seen its life expectancy. And so I have a video to show you this morning that's really going to describe the project, and then I'd love to take a few questions afterwards. So we'll start right away with that video, and then again, let me know when we're finished what you'd like to know more about.
You are tomorrow's history. What you know and believe about your world, what you care about, and how you lived will be recorded for future generations. Becker County is rooted together in a rich history and anchored by the values of hard work, community pride, and philanthropy. Over the years, the people within the county have stepped forward to help provide opportunities to strengthen the future of the community. Schools, churches, and hospitals have been built. Investments in libraries, community centers, and recreational outlets have created opportunities for improved health in mind and body. Now, we have an opportunity to safeguard and secure our community's story that began in 1858. It includes the possessions, inventions, artifacts, and records documenting the values and progress since our county was formed. History is important because people are important. How we got to where we are today is important.
The Pioneer Settlers Union was formed in 1882, and this was a group of people who originally started as a social club, and over time they started to gather history. They realized that we're the first people here, and it's important for us to remember how things started and where things were. So they gathered things like bone spoons and bread bowls that came with people from Europe, and spinning wheels, Native American artifacts like beadwork and tools and weapons, arrowheads, etc. And they gathered those things and had no place to really keep them, so they started keeping them at people's homes to begin with. They then started to interview settlers and started to gather their stories into a book that later became published called The Pioneer History of Becker County in 1907. And they realized that, again, history was happening around them and as they were living. And I think without them, we wouldn't have the amazing collection that we have here, but also the amazing stories that we have here. They were the very beginnings and literally the foundation of our institution. In 1924, then, many of these settlers were passing away, and they wanted to make sure that that history element maintained, and so they formed the Becker County Historical Society in 1924, and at that point began really looking towards the idea of having a museum here in Becker County.
They would meet a lot of times in different people's houses, different members' houses. But they did have a spot in the basement of the library. And then right off the little room was a little broom closet. I suppose it was 3 by 3 by 3. I don't know. It wasn't very high. And that's where they kept what they owned, what the Historical Society owned. And so in 1943, the Historical Society started. They started moving into the facilities there at the courthouse, and the museum was about. I'm kind of guessing at it's about 40 feet by 60 feet in dimension in area. We got a chance to move in here in the late 80s, and of course we had a lot more room here than we had down there.
The museum is tired and worn, with many health, safety, and physical deficiencies. The nearly 70-year-old building houses multiple displays on the upper level and storage on the lower level, requiring the space to be off-limits to the public. The facility has limited handicap access from floor to floor via a small elevator that works sometimes. The lower-level doors do not allow for accessibility. There are no handicap-accessible public restrooms. Electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems are dated and not energy efficient. Priceless artifacts and documents are at risk for mold, mildew, and possible fire due to lack of proper air circulation and a sprinkler system. The building has little historic merit, and because it would not be considered for National Historic Register status, the most cost-effective long-term option is to build a new facility. Everyone has the opportunity to look deeper to determine history's impact on their lives today.
We are business owners in Detroit Lakes, and my husband and I are really passionate about keeping the heart and soul of downtown alive. We purchased a few buildings downtown, and our intention was to make some changes but keep the integrity and the character and the history and use that with our new businesses, but just to keep that history of Detroit Lakes alive.
We decided to work with these buildings downtown because of the way they were built. You cannot build them like that anymore. It's not cost effective. Nowadays it's all steel studs and stucco, and you lose that craftsmanship that was built so many years ago.
The $3.2 million capital campaign will provide funding for a new building that is 16,810 square feet. It would have 2 stories with a main level exhibit space and administrative area and a lower level collection storage space. Additional amenities will include a handicap accessible elevator, fully accessible restrooms, new building security, and a state-of-the-art mechanical system to preserve the museum collections. Next to the exhibit area will be a large meeting and classroom space for 40 people, which will be available for presentations, seminars, and meetings. The new design allows for easy access to the building from a new parking lot and brings visitors directly into a lobby with the reception and office space readily visible. Now, we turn to individuals, government, civic and service groups, and business leaders in our county to invite support for an effort that will have a lasting impact on future generations.
Having a museum in the area, it allows you to go and get out of the book where they just read it and see pictures and actually physically take and have an artifact in their hand and see, and from the time period and physically see it and go out, and it's like, this came from 1914, and it engages the students more and it makes them more interested in their topic. with Teaching History Day, I have witnessed and been in the cities where all the city schools, the Minneapolis schools, have access to all the museums down there. Keeping our local museums running and functioning is very vital to teaching the youth of what we have today in order for them to go and get these primary sources and having access to materials that they normally wouldn't have access to, or they have to travel 1,000 miles to find. It's very valuable that way.
As we prepare to hand over the responsibilities of preservation to future generations, what is the impact and benefit of the new facility in real terms? Imagine a well-ventilated, well-lit, and spacious environment, allowing all visitors access to exhibits and research at their own pace. New programming to engage and educate students from all over Becker County. With upgrades and new technology, our capabilities will increase to engage and encourage youth to utilize their current social media and devices to meet the past as the ultimate time machine experience. Interaction through museum events will showcase the importance of the past, present, and future, making these events a source of pride for its citizens, the White Earth Nation, city and county leaders, business, and institutions. Staff and volunteers who are knowledgeable about their city and county and the technologies we offer make them valuable resources for city and townships whose records are stored at the museum and must be preserved.
History is important to local government because we need to know what uses were the land was being used for in the past. So like when we do infrastructure projects, we aren't running into old foundations or things that we are currently being used that are underground that may have been here 70, 80 years ago.
History comes alive when you see an artifact that Grandpa used to have in his barn, or a photo of a relative you never knew you had, or even learning to appreciate what we have today by seeing what our ancestors used to get a job done. The Becker County Museum holds these treasures that we can unlock just by walking in the door.
The museum is a blessing to all because it keeps the history. As long as history's been recorded in this area, and it shows the connection that we have with events. It shows the connection we have with other people, and it shows the connection that we have as a family as a whole. We all have nuclear families for the most part, but the museum keeps the records and the history for all of us in every township, and that gives us belonging. It gives us a place where we can go and see that as people we have an identity in this region, and it's an important thing, because without it, all of a sudden in the puzzle of life there's a piece missing.
Today, we have the opportunity to move forward by generating funds to leave a visible and tangible legacy for our young people, our community, our future.
As historians, our primary purpose is to be a good steward of our shared history and your history. And to do that, we need a space that will support it. We have to take care of those fragile artifacts like the spoon, like the beadwork, that need environmental control, that need space that they can exist for the next 100 years, because we are here to kind of pass the torch to the next generation of people. And this building will allow us to do that, and I hope that you will support it.
We invite you to make a financial contribution. Together, with your generous support, we can and will build the new home for the Becker County Historical Society and Museum.
So as the video showed you this morning, our capital campaign publicly is kicking off July 1st of this year. We're currently working with government entities throughout the county as well as private donors for lead gifts at this time. We are certainly open to talking with you individually or as a group as well if you're interested in that. On each of your tables, I put a few of our flyers with some basic information about the project. We also have more of those at our table on your way out if you'd like to grab a few more. And then the other way that you can really keep informed about the project and its progress is by becoming a member of the Becker County Historical Society. Members receive updates via our newsletter, events, and invitations to events and other things like that. So we also have membership forms at our table as well. And I would be glad to answer any questions that you might have about the project at this time. Anyone? Yes. So the question was, how long? What's the timeline? Our timeline is that our hope is that we can have the project funded or financed within the scope of 1 year to 18 months, meaning that the goal would be to break ground in the summer of 2016. It is an aggressive plan, and it's purposefully so because our building just really is at the point where it has to happen. And we want to make sure that we are being responsible and taking good care of your history. Our current building just doesn't allow for that. And so we are going to be out and in the community, in the county, very often throughout the course of the next year and a half. So you'll hear a lot from me, I'm sure. But again, we'd love to come and visit with you. There is also a sign-up sheet at our table if you want to know more information individually. We'd love to talk to you that way as well. Other questions for me? Sure. The question was levels of support from county, city, township. So we've just presented our formal proposal to the county commissioners this past week. We've been working with them for the last few years, though, to move forward on this project. We have very positive feedback from them at this point. No official number, but there is one in the works, so I'll have more for you about that in the upcoming weeks. And we also are on the agendas for all of the city councils. We've already spoken with the Finance Committee for the City of Detroit Lakes, and we'll be working with them as well as the council as a whole and also the other councils around the county. And we are also meeting at the joint governance meeting on April 16th with all of the townships. And so support levels are in the works and will be made public shortly, but they are happening, so we're very fortunate that we have wonderful support from a government level here in Becker County. Other questions? All right, yep, in the back. Good question. So the location is literally just to the west of where we are now, so north of where we're sitting today. So the museum owns the parking lot space that is to the north of the theater here, and we're literally just flipping. So the building will move there, and the parking will move where the current site sits. So it's not moving far. You'll be able to find us. Other questions? All right, well, as I said, I look forward to talking to you further, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today.
Thank you so much, Amy and Eric and those from the museum, and I know they've got some board members here present, so make sure you ask around and ask more details. Next, I want to welcome up Bob Luizzo, City Administrator for the City of Detroit Lakes. He can update us on all of the happenings around Detroit Lakes, including a few holes being dug, I think, around town.
Good morning. As you can see, I got a long list for everybody of all the things the city is going to do in the coming year. So I would just like to highlight a few things and try and answer any questions you might have. The city is going to be undertaking a couple of major projects in the summer of 2015. Hopefully all of those things will be completed by the end of September, early part of October of this year. You probably read we will be doing a major reconstruction of Washington Avenue with the cooperation of Becker County. We have we'll be undertaking construction from basically Highway 10 all the way down to Willow Street. The project will involve removal of all of the, usually nothing falls too low for a guy my size, but we will be looking at the construction from basically Highway 10 on down to Willow, and it'll be a complete reconstruction. We'll open the street all the way up. We'll replace all of the sewer, all the water lines. We'll be installing new sidewalk. We'll be following the theme that's been developed along Veterans Boulevard and along the north end of Washington Avenue up to from 34 to Highway 10. So we're going to carry that all the way down. When we move south of Frazee Street, we will be widening the boulevards just a little bit. We'll be trying to install some green space in there, looking at doing some trees, some grass cover and planting areas so that we can beautify that and try and tie that. This is all part of a long-range plan that the city's been working on for about 5 to 10 years now. We're trying to tie all of our business districts together and to create what we call a business corridor plan. Many of you people participated in the development of that plan. 2008, we had about 1,200 and some people involved in a long-range planning process, and ever since then we've been really working away at that. So this will be another significant step to implementing that. The next thing the other major project that we're going to be involved in is going to be the construction project out on the west side of town. We're going to be looking at working with MnDOT to improve the frontage road. You'll be able to, when the project is completed, you'll be able to leave downtown on Holmes Street and go all the way out to the airport. You won't have to get out on Highway 10. As we're doing that project, MnDOT is also going to go through and look at all the accesses to business areas as they go west, and we'll be trying to identify specific crossings with lights and other things to facilitate traffic movement and improve that. So those are the two biggest projects that we have underway right now. We're also looking at a couple of redevelopment projects for the downtown area. As many of you have seen, we've had a sign on what we call the green space over at McKinley and Frazee, and we do have a couple of parties, or a party that's interested in that. We have entered into a preliminary agreement with them. It's the McKinley Partners LLP. It's actually led by Jim Boos and Brent Keene, who are both here today, but we're looking at a project that would be going in there. We think that could be an exciting development, and it would complete another one of the steps that we've been looking at in our business corridor plan. So those are probably the three biggest projects that we have in the works right now. I don't know what kind of questions you would have. I would try and answer those. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Next, I want to call up Bruce and Jake Hine. Bruce and Jake work with agriculture, which we didn't want to ignore that industry in Becker County. That is has always been historically and continues to be one of the largest industries for Becker County. Sometimes we forget, we don't always see the farmers in town. Farming is way different than it used to be. So we wanted to hear an update from Bruce and Jake and see what their thoughts are on agriculture today here in Becker County.
Thank you, Carrie. It's always kind of a dangerous thing when your eyesight is a little bad and you notice up in front that there's not excessive amounts of light, and when you're going to give kind of a number of statistics, you almost have to have your glasses along, and then sometimes it's tough. But anyway, I'll try to stumble through this. I'll try to quickly give you some of the economic figures, and then Jacob will probably talk about some of the more interesting things. Oh, thank you very much. All right, first of all, I'll start with a little bit of a disclaimer. Back in the 90s, the Chamber Ag Committee did a pretty comprehensive study of the economic impact of agriculture, and we thought this was really a good thing, but we found out at the time that, to come out and say, you produce so many $1 million worth of products, other segments in the economy, we got a lot of feedback. There were letters to the editor saying, well, they're not more important than us, or, these kind of things. So the disclaimer is that, we are all in this together. And every dollar generated by ag is not in place of something else, it's additive. And so all of us are important in the economy. And, they used to talk about economic multipliers, Well, probably the highest economic multipliers come from the values from products of the land. And so here in Becker County, those things would be, and not just these things, but besides agricultural products, we have a very big gravel industry. We have the non-retail tourism industry. And I think, that was one of the things that's always left out of the economic multiplier thing. But anyway, I'll get into some of the dollars. In Minnesota, we produce about $22 billion worth of agricultural products, of which about 40% of that is exported. The same thing goes for Becker County. Now, we produce about $225 million worth of commodities, and about 40%, or about 80 to 90% of that, is exported to other countries. The mix is probably, for agriculture, about 60% crops, 40% livestock. Now, it just happens we're kind of in that economic period of time where, when you produce a commodity, you expect that there are going to be highs, and those are great times. But right now, crop prices are at their lows. So, we're at our worst times, those of us who produce crops. But on the other hand, the livestock people are at historically high levels of income. So it kind of balances out. If you apply those economic multipliers to that, it generates roughly, 1.8 or 9 billion dollars of economic activity in our local area. Although maybe another disclaimer is, I'm not quite so sure that these old economic multipliers are really such a valuable thing anymore, because, it used to be we'd come to town and we'd go to Chauncey Boyer's and buy seed. We'd, go to places like that locally. Well, now, most of our products that are inputs for our crops are coming from, Monsanto in St. Louis, or maybe even, from Germany or Switzerland or Australia. And so sometimes you wonder if those old economic multipliers are really as valid as they once were. But anyway, I guess one thing about commodities is, we can, make some changes. If we can differentiate our product somewhat from someone else's, we can gain a lot more. And of course, we have a lot of that going on here. And Jake is probably going to talk about some of that, but I would say, organic crops, or people who are selling food-grade soybeans, for instance. You fill up a container and you send those to Japan. There's a completely different economic multiplier effect. But anyway, that's sort of the story. In Becker County, ag probably produces about 1,500 jobs. And I would give you, I did mention the commodity issue, and oil topped out back in 2008 at $148 a barrel. Within just a short time, oil was down to $32 a barrel. Man, that's like
like you invest in oil and you got $10,000 and you come by again and all of a sudden that's shrinks down to $1,500. My financial advisors over here would say that wasn't a very good investment. And I remember this time, soybeans had been $17 a bushel. And one of my friends from Detroit Lakes, who's in the 10 o'clock coffee club over at Main Street, showed up at the elevator and he said, "Bruce, I'm going to buy these soybeans because, boy, there's going to be a lot of money made." And I said, and what he wanted to do was he was going to come in, he was going to buy the soybeans at the elevator and have the elevator store them. And then he thought, man, this is going to be a big, and I said, you want to buy these soybeans when they're $3 a bushel and let them go to 17, not when the historic high is in at 17 and then you sell them for 3, And he said, good point. And he didn't make the purchase. But anyway, I can give you an idea of a couple other crops that we do raise. Soybeans in 2012 were $17.20 a bushel. Today they're about $8. Corn in 2012, but by the way, I'm sure you probably all recognize, and maybe you don't, but the year 2012 for people in agriculture was the high point of our career, because we had great crops and great prices all at the same time. It was really a bonanza. But anyway, in 2008, corn was $8.50 a bushel. Today it's $3 a bushel. Last fall, it was $2.10 in the local elevator. And so things can change a lot. The hog market, just when I mentioned that a lot of livestock people that were, celebrating right now, well, last year in July, hogs were $132 a hundred. Today, they're $60. So, if you'd invested in hogs, pork bellies, for instance, last July, you'd have lost half your money by today. And we do have some very large hog producers here in our area. So anyway, that's kind of gives you some of that part of it. But I'll kind of, I would mention one more thing. And this was a statistic that the Minnesota Department of Ag just produced. One dairy cow generates between $17,000 and $25,000 in economic activity. And I thought, that can't be possible. One cow couldn't possibly. Well, if you do the math, that's exactly what it is. It's amazing. And of course, the productivity of all of agriculture has improved a lot, but it was just phenomenal to me that the Minnesota Department of Ag said the average cow produces 22,000 pounds of milk in a year. To me, and I grew up on a dairy farm, and my dad has a whole room of trophies because he was probably the best dairyman in Becker County. And in those days, you were given an award if you had a cow that produced 15,000 pounds of milk. So the average is so much higher. It's just kind of unbelievable how the productivity has improved. Corn that we used to raise and probably average 60 bushels per acre, now the county average is probably closer to 150 bushels per acre. So productivity is way higher. Anyway, enough of this. I'll let Jake say a little more. But I will end with this quick line from a poem about agriculture. And as you all know, it's kind of dry out there. We've been at a number of fires. As a matter of fact, today on the way in, we drove by a number of fires. Springtime's a bad time for that. But anyway, John Godfrey Sachs, his little talk on the spring of agriculture when the rains are not coming. The nurtured fields disclose the yellow crops. Each bursting pod of talents used can tell, and all that once received the early rain declare to man it was not sent in vain. Thank you very much. Jake?
Thanks, Bruce. Well, good morning, everybody. I was in the meeting when Carrie was trying to figure out who she was going to have speak here today, and they were trying to figure out who they were going to have do it, and so they said, "Well, let's find the best-looking farmer that we can find to come up and talk to people about it." And he said no. And so they said, okay, well, let's find the most knowledgeable farmer, and have him come and speak. And he said no. And so she said, okay, last ditch effort, let's just find the most humble farmer that we can find. And I couldn't say no to him 3 times, so here I am. So I'm just going to tell you guys a few things about some opportunities that we have these days in agriculture. Right now, in the United States, the average age of a farmer is 57 years old. Now I don't know how many of you are pretty close to retirement age, but that's getting up there. So the young people in our country that are interested in agriculture are going to have an opportunity that people haven't had for 3 decades. If you are a young person and you want to be involved, you're going to have some opportunity because a lot of these farmers are nearing their retirement age and are going to want to be moving on with their lives and not working their lives away until they're 90 years old. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. Today, the average American farmer feeds 155 people worldwide, and that is up from 25 people in 1960. So just in 50 years, we've increased that times 5. So 17% of our U.S. workforce is directly involved in agriculture, and that is an amazing number considering that less than 2% of those people are actual farmers. So that ag service industry is over 15% of our entire economy of our nation. So that's kind of the more broad picture. Now let's get down to what we can do here in Becker County. You know, you don't have to be a farmer that farms 2,000 or 1,500 or 8,000 acres. You can farm on half an acre. You know, if you have a plot of land outside your house that's small and it gets a lot of sunlight, if you want to make a little extra money, you can grow a garden. We have a very wonderful farmers market right here in Becker County that you can take your products to that are value added and make a little extra money. And you know, I ask a lot of people very often, do you have a stake in agriculture? And a lot of times people say, well, no, I don't really have a direct stake in agriculture. Well, if you built your house with lumber, you have a direct stake in agriculture. Every day when you eat a salad or eat your lunch, you have a direct stake in agriculture. So it's just very important to keep that in mind when you're thinking about how important agriculture is and is going to become in the future with a growing population that we have to feed worldwide, and how important education is going to be to our next generation, because a lot of the people that are out there these days are now, especially in my generation, are now 2 to 3 generations away from the farm. You know, back in the 1950s, most people were only one or were a generation that was on the farm. And so education is going to become more and more important. And speaking to that, if you have a young person that's involved, that is interested in agriculture and wants to teach, the opportunities for agricultural educators is at its highest rate that it's been for 50 years. Right now in Minnesota, this coming year, there will be 10 openings that will not be filled for agricultural instructors in state from people that graduate here in Minnesota from college. So the opportunities are endless right now. Niche markets, you know, 8 out of 10 people say that they trust small-scale family farms to produce their food. And this is a perfect example of how we can add value to our products. If you want to produce bees and produce honey and package that honey, you can sell that at an extra 20% on top of what a normal profit would be for a quart of honey. You get 20% more value to your product when you produce it and package it yourself. And it doesn't take a whole lot of, it's hard work, but the profit is there if you're willing to do the work. Or producing something like fresh vegetables to sell to a local grocery store, small-scale grocery store, or to sell to a restaurant that wants to sell and market their food and their atmosphere around having locally grown foods. The opportunities are there. If you have anyone in your life that is interested in agriculture, and they're young or they're old, it doesn't matter. There's opportunity there if they're willing to take it and run with it. So, thank you. We'll take any questions. Thank you guys very much. prime farmland right now would be around $5,000 an acre. I mean, that's you're talking the best as far as sale value. Oh, $800 an acre. Well, 10 years ago, $800 an acre, $900 an acre. I mean, it has really jumped, and that's due to the fact that the markets were very crazy for a while, and that's what happens with land prices. I mean, it's a very fluctuating market. You know, I think that average. I think it's around, as far as one income. One income. I think it's around 1,500 acres. Yep. Well, the estate planning and the estate tax shielding tools are there. You know, with as far as you can gift land as long as that person that's being gifted to is in your family and will be farming for a period of 5 years. Is that correct? Something like that. And so you can forego some of that tax on those gifts in that way. And as far as it all depends on how their business is set up. But I mean, if you have a corporation or something that can be transferred as far as stock goes, you can do that over a period of time, and you can really eliminate some of the issues where Party A wants to retire and wants to transfer all their land over, but in order for them to do that, the tax on the land would be so much that they have to sell half of it. I mean, there are ways to get around that, as far as our government being able to help us out with some of that, with some of the estate deals. Well, I mean, that is a very large amount of money that you would require to do that. But I think it'd be on such an individual basis as far as the situation. I mean, it depends on who you're working with, but I mean, the viability of just walking in from having zero experience and zero investment in a farm and walking in and just like that, taking charge and buying that land and starting up that's very hard to do. You have to have a lot of capital behind you. So, thank you.
If you won the lottery, that would.
Right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Excellent job. We do have an agribusiness committee at the chamber level, so if that's something you're interested in getting more information on, just let me know. They do meet about every other month, and they do work with a legislative forum, usually done in about December or late November, and just hearing from our local legislators on ag issues and being able to ask questions on all of those regulations and lending and estate planning and all those great questions. So we'd love to have more people involved. Next, I want to call up Kelly Schiffner. Kelly is the co-owner of CoWork, and her co-owner counterpart is somewhere sunny and warm. Beth Friday is out of the state today, but we welcome Kelly. She's also a graphic designer and owner of her own business, Right Hook Design, but she thought she didn't have enough to do, so she went with Beth and brought out CoWork too. So she's going to tell us about the opportunities that we have. It's kind of a big city idea for our small area. So a great opportunity, especially if you have traveling salespeople or workforce coming from out of the area that needs to have that quiet place to work. We're so excited to be able to offer them a great service called CoWork.
Thank you, Carrie. Good morning. Imagine yourself waking up every morning motivated to go to work. You're excited to see what opportunities the day will bring. Now, picture yourself working in a productive environment alongside other independent professionals. If this sounds ideal to you, then co-work is the place to be. For those of you who are new to the concept of co-working, it's the use of an office or other working environment by people who are self-employed or working for different employers, typically as to share the equipment, ideas, and knowledge. The whole idea of co-working is to bring bright, creative people together and let the ideas collide. My name is Kelly Schiffner, and I'm going to talk today about a new opportunity for working at the lakes. This last October, my good friend and office mate, Beth Priday, found ourselves at a crossroads. We shared an office space in the Greystone building with one other tenant who was moving her office to Park Rapids. Beth and I did not want to move. We loved the space, and we loved the prime location in downtown Detroit Lakes. So together we tossed around a few ideas on how we could best utilize our office space. We started to focus on how to make our space available to other like-minded business professionals. And that is how co-work was born. I have a small video to play for you just to give you guys a visual of what it is. If you could dim the lights a little bit, please. Co-work is what we call a co-op workspace. It's a shared working environment for independent professionals and contractors to get some work done. Anyone who has ever worked from home can attest to how easy it is to become distracted. The dishes, the laundry, your spouse or children, even the family cat or dog can become a nuisance when you're trying to get work done. We are an alternative to working at home or the local coffee shop by providing a casual, flexible workspace with amenities available on a membership basis. In the simplest terms, it's like having a gym membership, but for going to work. It's that easy. You can acquire a membership by visiting our website. We currently offer 4 different memberships: a single day pass, which is good from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., a 1-week pass, a 1-month pass, and a 3-month pass. Simply pick which best fits your needs and purchase via PayPal right on our website. Once we receive a confirmation of your purchase, we generate you a personalized PIN code for the security doors, which is time sensitive based on your purchase, and then we email your code along with some basic instructions. Included with your membership are the following amenities: a variety of workspaces in a positive and productive atmosphere, free Wi-Fi, free printing and copying, 24/7 secure coded door access, a charging station for your electronics in case you forgot your cord or anything like that. We have some that you can use for your your phone, your iPad, your tablet, your laptop. A large meeting table that has seating for 6 to 8 people, a flat screen TV and a DVD player, free coffee, water, or tea, and access to a kitchenette that has a sink, a microwave, and a refrigerator. Most importantly, our prime location: the post office, the Becker County Courthouse, the Detroit Lakes Chamber of Commerce, Washington Square Mall, 5 area banks, Lake Agassiz Regional Library, the Detroit Lakes Community and Cultural Center, multiple law offices, insurance agencies, 2 print shops, 4 coffee shops, and over 12 restaurants are all in walking distance. You may ask, who could use a co-op workspace like this? Our client base mainly consists of self-employed or freelance professionals, people who frequently travel, such as contractors or vendors, or an outside salesperson who would like an alternative to working from out of their hotel room or out of their vehicle. Maybe you live in the Lakes area, but you commute to Fargo or another city, and you would like another option in case the roads are bad, or to allow you to work from DL once in a while or when needed. We've also been used by a few small organizations who don't have the space available to meet for their monthly or quarterly board meetings. Some of the benefits of co-working are there's no guilt. Unlike being at the library or a coffee shop, you can plug in your laptop or take that phone call without the guilt. As far as a coffee shop, it's a great place to meet, have some coffee, some lunch, but it's also very hard to stay focused because of the social atmosphere. You can easily run into somebody or get distracted by running into a friendly face you haven't seen in a while. At the library, the golden rule is you have to be quiet. If not, you could end up being the distraction for others. Flexibility. At CoWork, you can come and go as it fits your schedule. Your passcode is time sensitive for the time you have purchased, so you can come and go as much as you please before that time expires. There's the potential to meet clients. Co-working spaces are abound with stories of connections and opportunities that can lead to business. You can network without really trying. Meet other professionals with interesting projects by working alongside them. We do have a designated area where any member can leave their information, and we also post important information for upcoming events or opportunities in the community. Legitimate meeting space. No more having to meet in your living room or around your kitchen table. You can meet your clients in a professional setting, which is clean and conveniently located in Detroit Lakes. Co-working provides a combination of community, networking, productivity, and a creative change of scenery in a return for a low-cost, low-commitment investment. You can choose your membership instead of a long-term lease. At CoWork, we collaborate, create, and connect. I do have a couple testimonials from a few people that have used it. Terry said, it was such a productive time that I'm thinking I should make being a coworker a weekly thing. And Rob said, I did enjoy using the space. It was a nice place to get some work done while I was in DL. I can take a couple questions. Otherwise, I know we're a little bit behind, so we can move on if you'd like. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. I think of all of the summer visitors coming. When we change our population from 8,000 to 30,000, let's get them co-working and staying in town and spending some money downtown too. Next, I want to welcome one of our newer members to the Chamber of Commerce. Business View has got a new concept. If you got to see the video that Kelly showed, it's kind of that inside view. People want to know what your business looks like. Is it friendly? Is it appropriate for their meeting or for their space? Is it the kind of restaurant they want to eat in? Is it the kind of place they want to work in? So Benji and Blair offer us a new way through their technology and connections to give people the inside view of our businesses.
Thanks, Carrie. Good morning. My name's Benji Fromke, and this is Blair Briggs, and we are Google's photographers and business listing experts for the tri-state area. How many people here have used Google to search a person, a business, a place, a product, a service? Yes. Pretty much everybody has at some point used Google at some time in their life. A lot of us use it on a daily basis. Google is the #1 search engine in the world with over 1.1 billion active users monthly. Having a presence online is more important than ever, especially for local small businesses. We understand running a small business is a ton of work, and you typically have very few extra resources and probably don't have the time to claim, verify, and optimize and understand everything about your Google business listing. So today, we're going to talk about 3 main things to help your business. First one is to be found. Help you understand how to claim, verify, and optimize your business. Second is to help you stand out with impactful photos and also what Carrie was just talking about, the 360 virtual tour inside of your business. And lastly, to engage with your customers, to actually have control of your business page, communicate with people that want to communicate with you, respond to reviews, and post things about your business to have them come around. Before we dive in, we're going to show you a quick video, so we'll show that right now.
America runs on small businesses, and every small business is different. But there's one thing they all need to be successful. It's this woman, and this guy, and all these people too. You see, these aren't just any people, they're your people. The customers you know on a first-name basis, who bring their families and tell their friends. And your people are online, right now, searching for you. When you get your business on Google, you make it easy for them to find you. You can also connect with them, share with them, and build the relationships that will grow your business. Unlock the full potential of Google and find your people.
Got the next slide. So, what you see up here is what a typical business listing looks like that hasn't necessarily been claimed, verified, or optimized in any way. As you can see, Spicy Pie of Grand Forks, we've recently done a lot of their locations. This is a recently new one. If you look at the sidebar on the right side, that's basically a typical listing on Google. Now, Google has web crawlers and different ways of finding a business, even if you haven't claimed or verified or done anything with it. So on the right-hand side, basically all you're seeing is a pin mark. You're seeing some basic information from Spicy Pie. And then you also see that Google recognizes on the bottom part where you see those 5 photos that this person's probably searching for pizza or something along those lines. So they're trying to, help the user find what they want to find. Go to the next slide. This is what a business listing, this is Spicy Pie's Pizza, their location in NDSU. As you can notice, there's a huge difference between what the business listing looks like here and what it looked like before. First thing you see is on the top left where the arrow is, a high quality profile photo. This is basically a representation of your business. This is what people are seeing and engaging with on a daily basis when they Google your business. The next thing that we do is we verify your PIN location. We've ran into several businesses. Google isn't 100% accurate, but they're pretty darn close. We have run into several businesses that their PIN isn't in the right spot. So sometimes people can't even find you if your PIN isn't in the right spot or you're not, you haven't verified some of your information. Next thing is that See Inside feature. This is a great way to double your visibility online, and it really engages people. A lot of us travel or go to areas that we haven't been before. We want to know, what does that business look like inside? What am I stepping into? You know, a lot of people that have static photos on their website aren't actually true photos of representation of their business. So that really engages with the customers and really gives them a good feel as to kind of a human component to it. When we do this, we verify all your information. We make sure it's 100% accurate. We don't have time to go through all of Google's guidelines for setting up your business page. It's quite immense, but there is a lot of complicated things in it. One of the main things is your category listing. If Google doesn't recognize what type of category you are, this is basically how you're indexed. This is how you show up on Google if somebody's searching for you. You can actually get just a general listing, and there's primary, there's secondary. So we basically help establish where your core business is and what you should be listed under. Obviously, you can see underneath of there's business information, your website, how to get in touch with you. The other big thing that we talk about with businesses is reviews. Businesses that haven't claimed or verified their business, they can't respond. We can go to a restaurant and we can do a review on you and you haven't even claimed or verified your restaurant. A lot of businesses don't even know that they could have good reviews. They could have bad reviews out there. We'll actually help coach you and help you. That generated thing that you see up on the screen, once you get 5 reviews on Google, it'll auto-populate. If you notice on the screen before, they didn't have any reviews, they didn't have anything, but over 70% of people, I'm sure we've all done it, will search for a product or a place, and over 70% of people will believe somebody that did a review on a business, and we've never met them, we don't know anything about them, and they believe everything that they see. So it's very important that businesses claim and verify so that you guys understand who's doing reviews. You can try to get people to do reviews, and if you do get bad reviews, there's ways to respond. We just recently worked with a business that had some bad reviews. They claimed their business, they got in there, they communicated with these people. You can go back in and communicate with those people, and they can go and change their review from a 1-star or a 2-star to a 4 or 5-star and instantly change your ratings. Obviously, you see on the bottom, there's still those same similar businesses, but they don't really stand out as much, because you've got so much going on up top. Next slide, I think. Where does this all go? So most of us are familiar with Google Search. This goes on Google Search, as you can see on the side business bar. It also goes on Google Maps. Latest stat is that 60%, it's over 60% of people actually search online with their mobile phone. So more people search online with their mobile phone than sitting at home or behind at a desktop. Google Maps is the most downloaded app in the world as well. So this gets your business on the forefront. Same thing as far as the photos, the See Inside, really just grabs people. If you're not from an area, it's going to help your business stand out, increase your rankings, and hopefully bring more people through the door. Your Google Plus page, like we were talking, this is where you have access. This is your business page on Google, so you can update your descriptions, your photos. We do some of that. You can respond to reviews. And then obviously on mobile devices, this is good on all mobile devices, Android, iPhone, iPad, tablets, doesn't matter what it is. And we got some quick testimonials from some Google Business View customers. Quick video.
We're the self-declared world's first dog kitchen, and people are thinking to themselves, well, you know, what is that?
Here we have the opportunity to take this unique experience and put it out to the general public.
Bam, with color and with products that are really fun and exciting.
What we really try to do is empower our customers. Honesty, transparency.
It's hard to describe to someone, but if they can walk through it and see it, it's amazing.
One of the great advantages of the Google Photographs is that, you know, a customer can see the store before they come here. So they can get a really good idea of what our aesthetic is before they even come into the store.
And they've actually said that since they took the virtual tour on Google, that made the difference between them coming here and going to another one of the restaurants.
You have panoramic photos when all the other stores around you have, you know, static photographs, you stand out.
We've seen a clear 20 to 25% jump in direct impressions as a result of local searches.
We have noticed customer response from it, both from inserting it on our homepage, on our website. People are commenting on it. We're getting a great customer experience without having to bring the customer right into our store.
And the fact that they have that right at their fingertips is priceless.
What does it look like? Well, go to our Google page and check it out.
So just to recap, why Google Business View? We help you set up your Google business listing according to Google guidelines. This is a really important thing. This is, you know, for local small businesses, this will give you the same visibility. Small businesses have the same access to have the same visibility on their Google business listing as any big business out there. So you can have the same visibility being a small mom and pop shop as the biggest company that you can possibly think of. Consumers rate high quality imagery even more important than customer reviews. So we were just talking about reviews. Images, I mean, think about Pinterest and all these different things that pop up. Images engage customers. That's what people want to see. People want it. People read through things, and reviews are important, but high quality images are extremely important as far as for attracting customers to your business. The average time spent on a Google Business View tour, I don't know if any of you have used Google Street View or been on Google Maps. You can get quite immersed and start searching and zooming all over the place. Same thing goes for the Business View tours if they're interested in your business. A lot of these people actually spend over 8 minutes zooming around and looking around in your business to figure out if it's a place that they might want to come. Help convert website visitors. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. Viewers of the virtual tour are twice as likely to visit your store. So people do view your virtual tour. You have a 50% better chance of them actually walking through the door and coming to your business. The See Inside feature is enabled on Google Search, Google Maps, and your Google Plus page. There's over 10,000 businesses that are added every single month. Don't get left behind. It's also been reported, we just recently read a report that Detroit Lakes triples in the summertime. A lot of times we do several small businesses in small towns, and they think, well, everybody just knows everybody. Well, they say Detroit Lakes actually triples in the summertime, even triples on the weekends. So there's a lot of people that are coming here that don't know where you're at. They don't know how to find you, right? Or maybe they found you, but you haven't really communicated with them. So this is a great way to bring them in and hopefully attract more customers and help you grow your business. What does it cost? There's several different options. It depends on the size of your business. Most small to medium businesses are anywhere from $39 to $69 a month, which this is actually paid off after 12 months. Or else Google also has a one-time pay, where typically on a $39 business per month, you can pay $3.99. It's a one-time pay. Google hosts it online forever. You keep the photos, you keep the tour, you pay one time, you never have to touch it again, unless you want to update and communicate and do that. We do have some live demos. I don't know if are we skipping it? Okay. We do have some live demos of some businesses we've done here in town, the Chamber of Commerce, RNG Subaru, Detroit Lakes Mountain. Okay, Google them, go to them, check them out. Is that it? Okay. Questions? Yeah. Yeah, we're based out of Fargo, so we've been doing a lot of traveling lately, from doing businesses in Fargo to we've been to Detroit Lakes, the western part of the state, South Dakota, Minnesota, down the cities area. So reach out to us. I kind of brought some pamphlets and some other things. There's some pens and pamphlets over on the side table there. So definitely get in touch with us. We'd love to come shoot your business and help you get exposed to more and more people. Yeah. Correct. Yep. There's two different types of, basically there's organic search, which if somebody is searching for, in that one example, I think spicy pie, if they're searching for pizza or they actually type in spicy pie, there can be an ad. That's a paid ad. That's Google AdWords. Everything that we're doing is organic. So once it's done and it's on there, it's on Google forever. It isn't costing you anything for people to click on this or to use any of it. It's all hosted by Google for free. But there is ways, if you'd like to get more exposure, you can do Google AdWords, and if you want to, yeah, try to get in other areas. So, okay, thank you.
All right, I want to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to bring such a great summit. Bremer Bank, the Community Center, DLM Downtown Properties, Detroit Lakes Development Authority, Essentia Health, LJA Architects, Marco Incorporated, MMCDC, and Sanford Health. Many of them have some booths or information around. We're going to take a quick 10-minute break. Make sure that you get out your phone and Google everything, make appointments at CoWork, and check out all the information around. There is more water, coffee, and the restrooms are in the hall. We'll meet back here in 10 minutes. If you can start to find your seat again, we're going to get started. If you can start to find your seat, we're going to get started in 30 seconds. All right, thanks again for being here this morning and taking your time out to learn more about the Detroit Lakes and Becker County area. We really do have a lot going on, and I wanted to make sure that we talk about some of the construction and also traffic flow that we're going to be looking at for this next summer. So our next speaker is Tom Lundberg. Tom is with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. He's a really great person to just get to know if you don't know him personally, because you can quick give him a phone call and say, Tom, what's up with this thing? And he will give you all the information you need and make sure you have the connections you need so that you can prepare for your business and what that means. So we welcome and thank Tom for being here.
Well, when I was asked to speak at this, I was kind of really happy because MnDOT, we have a lot of jobs coming up in the area in the next couple of years here, so this is a good venue to talk to with the businesses and whatnot. So I wanted to acknowledge that I got Jeremiah Moricky, our Public Affairs Coordinator, with me as well. Wave, Jeremiah. I'm going to try and talk about a lot of jobs in a short amount of time, actually 5 of them, and so I'll be hitting them at a pretty high level, but if you've got more questions, I've got maps and layouts next door here afterwards, so come see me, come see Jeremiah, and we can probably answer some more detailed questions afterwards. So with that, I'm going to try and master the technology here. So the jobs I'm going to talk about here, there's 5 of them. The first one is a Highway 34 passing lanes project that started this last summer, and it'll get completed this coming summer here. Also with that, a job I'm going to spend a lot more time on is the Highway 10 and 59 project and the Holmes Street extension, which is going to be a huge project for our community here coming up. There'll be lots of traffic impacts this summer, so we'll touch on that for a bit longer. The third project on the list, these are ones starting in 2016 now, will be Highway 34 work in town and out to County Road 29 or Four Corners as some of us know it. And the next job on the list is Highway 10 bridge replacement over the CP rail and some paving work in 2017. And then the last job on the list that I'll hopefully get in is the Highway 59 County Road 22 intersection with some improvements. So like I said, I'll cover at a high level all these. Some of them I could spend 20 minutes talking on each of them, so we're going to go pretty quick here. So the first job is the Trunk Highway 34 project. It's a passing lane project and some intersection improvement work there. And like I said, some of the work has taken place this last summer that you could see going from Detroit Lakes over the Akeley area. If you look at the layout of it here, it kind of shows you the pinkish dots up there, the areas that we're working on. And so we're sprinkled between Detroit Lakes and way over into Hubbard County by Akeley. But the work that's remaining that'll happen this summer on that, looking up there, we'll do additional left-hand turn lanes at Becker County 141, just as you're exiting town. The first intersection past the Pelican River. There's been an accident history there, and our traffic engineer looked at it, and putting in center lefts out there is the thing that we're going to do to kind of mitigate that. The next thing that we'll work on heading to the east is eastbound and westbound passing lanes at County Road 56 and heading to the east. And for a little bit more perspective, that County Road 56 runs to the south side of Toad Lake, and this happens heading to the east before you get to Heideland Lake. So there'll be passing opportunities out there that'll get built this summer. The next ones are east of Snellman. There'll be passing opportunities westbound followed by eastbound going on to Snellman. And the last section in Becker County will be just to the east of Osage. There'll be eastbound and westbound passing lanes there out towards the auction house, if you know where that is. And so getting into further to the east, which is a little bit out of our area, there'll be the 2 passing lanes over by Akeley and Nevis. But the main crux of this project is just to provide some more mobility and passing opportunities in a roly-poly winding highway section there. Right now, I think all of us have seen on Friday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, you get 20 cars following a camper and you can't pass, and there's always someone in a wrapped out Honda or something like that that tries to pass 20 cars at once, and it gets kind of scary. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what that project is helping us out with. Moving on, the one that I wanted to spend a little bit more time on is the Highway 10 and 59 project and frontage road improvements on the western side of our community. And this project will happen over the summer of 2015, and there'll be cleanup work in 2016. Some of the history of this, we did a planning study with the county, the city, and the state a couple years back, and really looked at the western half of our community and the transportation network out there and how things are getting around. And we did a lot of the stuff in the downtown area, but things have been happening out to the west that we haven't been keeping up with. So out of that study, we got some goals that we were really looking at to help out with the transportation network out there. And the first one was mobility. Much like in the downtown area, trying to separate local traffic from through traffic. We want Highway 10 to be a through conduit, not a through conduit in a city street and that. So The mobility was an important thing, so it begged for a good frontage road network getting set up out there. Along with that, safety was the next thing there. There's no good way for bikes and peds to get out to that area, so looking at a good trail system to get out from town out to the western side of town was another important thing that we were going to look at. And being an engineer and dealing with traffic and stuff, access management is always something we look at, trying to space intersections at a safe uniform distance and signalize intersections and then secondary intersections in between. And so looking at that, and then the last one, which is kind of the big one driving everything, is the commercial growth out there. There's a lot of stuff that's happened out on the western side of the community there, and the transportation network hasn't really kept up with it. And so trying to catch up with the transportation or the growth out there. And then I think there's like 20 outlots that are still available for development, so kind of trying to provide a network for those. So out of all this, we ended up with a layout here, and I'll let you guys know that I have a lot of layouts over here, and so if you want to look at some of the details, because it's going to be hard to see here, by all means come up afterwards and I'll stick around and I can touch on some of the things with you afterwards. So looking at our layout, what we're really going to end up with, just for perspective, this is out by the airport here. This is Perkins area over here. Here's kind of where we are. Here's Holmes Street over here. What we're going to end up with on this project here is Highway 10 and 59 are going to stay pretty similar to the way they are today, but we'll get a upscaled frontage road network. So what we're looking at doing is out by Taco John's Subway, rebuilding the frontage road network over to by the old Grover's truck stop, building a new frontage road across the swamp in between there and the MnDOT property, wrapping that frontage road around by Perkins, America's Best Value, and Tesoro, and hooking up back to Highway 59 down by Noah's Furniture. Also with that frontage road network, we'll go now underneath Highway 59. There'll be a bridge that you can see right there in orange, wrap into town and hook up to Holmes Street over here. So it'll be another way for you to get from town out to the shopping area out here and business area out here without having to get onto Highway 10. Also with that, we'll have a trail system. There'll be a 10-foot trail put in there with it that'll follow along Highway, it'll be New Holmes Street extension here. It'll follow all the way down to by Chivers Realty, Meadowlands Surveying area. It'll go all the way along the frontage road network, all the way out to Airport Road. So there'll be a place for the bikes and peds to get on out to the west there with the project. Some of the stuff that'll happen on Highway 10 as we're doing the project, the intersection at Airport Road will stay much the same as it is today, signalized. The next intersection by Taco John's Subway, there'll be a left-in only westbound. You won't be able to make a left out. You'll have to go to either this signalized intersection or the next intersection by the old Grover's truck stop, which will end up being a signalized intersection here when we're all said and done. Going further east on Highway 10, the next intersection that we'll have will be by our picturesque salt shed on the MnDOT property there. There'll be a left in only there, and you won't be able to make a left out. If you want to get out of there, you'll have to come back to the signalized intersection or come down here onto Highway 59. 5910 intersection will remain much the same as it is today. If you head south on Highway 59 here, the first thing you'll see heading south will be a bridge just south of the Tesoro gas station. And then the first place where you'll be able to get on and off of Highway 59 will be to Outlet Sports in this area and towards the frontage road network by Noah's Furniture. So the timing of all this, we're planning on starting this spring. May 4th is the tentative start date for the work. Landwehr Construction is who is the apparent low bidder on the project, and we worked with them last year for the first time in a few years, and they did a fabulous job on a construction job with us. So we're really pleased to have them because they're a good construction firm to work with. Like I said, most of the work will be done in 2015, and then some of the work will happen in 2016. There's two swamps that I'll talk about a little bit later here that we'll probably have to do some work as we spill into 2016 with those. So it's going to be impossible to see this slide, so I'll just kind of describe this one and the next one as far as our construction staging. But at a high level, how we plan on doing this is Highway 10 will shift the beginning of the summer all the traffic to the westbound lanes. So it'll be head-to-head traffic on the westbound lanes, and we'll do construction on the eastbound lanes out there in concrete. And as much of the frontage road network out there as we can get done while kind of keeping access open to the businesses. And on the 59 portion of the project where I mentioned the bridge is there, south of Tesoro, we'll do half of the bridge, making it new, and we'll shift traffic over to the other side of the roadway. There'll be 2 lanes of traffic over there. And so that'll be kind of the first stage or first part of the summer. The second part of the summer on Highway 10 will shift all the traffic to the eastbound lanes, and we'll construct the westbound lanes in concrete out there. Still cleaning up some work on the frontage road. And on 59 in general, we'll move all the traffic over into the half of the new bridge that we built, and we'll construct the other half of the bridge off to the side. One thing I did want to mention is there's 2 swamps out on the project, and you're going to wonder what we're doing out there over the course of the summer, because this is going to take a while. But there's a swamp that we go across by the old Grover's truck stop heading east towards the MnDOT salt shed, and there's another one just north of Noah's Furniture. And this slide, it's kind of hard to see, but it depicts what we're going to do, because they're so deep we can't excavate them out. And so we're going to lay a fabric over the top of the swamps, and we're going to slowly load them with dirt. And if we do it slow enough, it just squishes out like a sponge for us. But if we do it too quick, if you've got, you know, like a jelly donut type thing, it'll goosh out the sides, to kind of put it simple. But anyhow, so it's going to take a long time for us to do that. And so when you're looking at that, that's the crazy thing that we're doing. So moving along, the next job I wanted to talk about is the Highway 34 project from 59 to County Road 29. This will take place in 2016, and it'll have 2 parts to it. There'll be an urban part in town, and there'll be a rural part that we kind of deal with out towards County Road 29. But what we'll be looking at is in the urban section, we'll make it all a 3-lane section. Right now, it's a 2-lane section for a ways, and there's some 3-lane section in there, but we'll make it all 3-lane from County Road 141 into the Highway 59 intersection there. Also in that area, we'll upgrade the pedestrian ramps, and we're working with the city on some trail possibilities, some sidewalk possibilities and things. I have another layout of that over here if you want to inspect it afterwards. But anyhow, that'll be the gist of that job. Here's just a view of the layout on it. So it goes from Highway 59 here through town. Here's Roosevelt out towards 141. And so 3-lane section through here, sidewalk, ped ramps and things like that in 2016. The next job that'll be taking place will be on Highway 10, and this is in 2017. It'll be from the Highway 59 intersection down to Summit Avenue. We'll pave that in concrete to match up with the section to the west. And we'll also replace the Canadian Pacific Railroad Bridge that's kind of out of date. And so you can kind of see a pictorial of it there, but that'll get replaced then. So here's an aerial. We'll go from the 1059 intersection, we'll replace the CP Rail Bridge, and we'll come down to 7th Avenue with that project. The last one I wanted to visit about is the County Road 22 intersection with Highway 59. We've had some accident history down at this intersection. Our traffic engineer looked at it, and for an interim measure there, he put in 4-way stops just to kind of eliminate some of the high-speed right-angle crashes down there. And so that was an interim thing, and we're proposing traffic signals happening in 2017 down there. There'll be advanced warning flashers, much like we have at County Road 6 in place. And this will be a cooperative project with Becker County when we get going with it. And if you're wondering, we did look at a roundabout down there, but the geometrics and grades didn't really work out, to put it simply, down there. So roundabout lovers or haters, we aren't going to do one there. And we're in the early stages, so you can't really see this very well, but that's kind of what we're looking at for the intersection. With that, I ran a little bit long here, and so if there's any quick questions, fire them away here. Otherwise, I'll be happy to be over here and visit with you afterwards. We're looking currently out in that area at the 54 intersection probably first. And some of that ties in with the possibility of a trail going up towards Mountain View and eventually the mountain. And so we're looking at that, and I think when we do look at it, we'd probably look at the Chris Street intersection and see if there's some things we could do in conjunction with improvements at both of those. So that's our current plans there. Yes, sorry. So yeah, down there our long-term goal is a stoplight much like at County Road 6 that you see today. And it'll have the advanced warning flashers like you see there today. Because of the geometry and things like that, those advanced flashers are so nice to alert travelers that the signal is going to switch. They're worth every nickel that we pay for those things. No, we don't have any plans. You're talking about the Four Corners intersection? Yeah, we'll do some improvements on the north side of that intersection this summer, but we don't have any plans for a signal out there at this time. The traffic volumes just aren't there. All right, well, I went long a little bit here, but I'll be around afterwards if you got other questions, and I've got detailed layouts that kind of help explain this a little bit better for you. So thank you.
All right, next I want to welcome Amy Collins. Amy is an energy services representative and works with the Detroit Lakes Public Utilities and their business customers to help save us money, save electricity, and secure rebates through the Bright Energy Solutions program. We welcome Amy.
Well, good morning. I'm excited to be here today for two reasons. Number one, I was really happy when I realized that they put me after road construction. So I think this is a good position in the schedule. And I'm not sure if you all noticed, but most people got 15 minutes to speak. I got 20, even though Tom was jealous and took 5 of it, but I'm a good sharer. But I'm thinking the chamber thinks I'm going to blow your mind this morning, so hopefully we learn something good from the presentation. And I want to start by introducing Josh Mason. He's over in the Detroit Lakes booth. Josh is my partner in crime. We work on energy conservation here together with the public utility. And I manage the Bright Energy Solutions program, which is a portfolio of cash rebates for customers to save money when they save energy. And we've been doing this program now actively for about 5 years. And we have quite a bit to report on today. But first, I have a video, if it all works so well. Red button? Right button.
The most ridiculous thing about wasting power is that for some reason, we don't think it's ridiculous.
So, since I have you all in the room today, this is going to be like a wasting intervention. So, welcome to Energy Abusers Anonymous. I'm Amy Collins, and I'm an energy abuser. That felt good. Yeah. Now, everyone in this room can admit it. I was over there at the booth, and I heard a lady come up and say, I got to take some of these brochures. My husband and kids, I can't get them to turn the TV off. And then I laughed because, of course, that's what the video's about. And we all know we take 20-minute showers. We leave our floor heaters on at work. Sometimes we stand in the bathroom at a restaurant and use the blow dryer for 10 minutes to warm up our feet. Maybe I'm the only one guilty of that, but I've done that. We all abuse energy. We use more than we need. And are there any accountants in the room? No accountants. I was going to exempt them. Typically, they're notorious for not using more than they need. So, but there are none here. So the goal is to take the behavior out of the equation and really make a change with equipment. So by changing technology, then we can have that save energy for us rather than our behavior, which is not very good all the time. So what is the bright solution? Well, now that we've recognized that we have a propensity for wastefulness, we can also begin our healing process. That's the way it works, right? We admit we have a problem, and we've acknowledged it, and now we're going to work on it. So enter the Bright Energy Solutions program and your energy helpers, Josh and Amy, and we can help you do this by saving money, not only by changing your technology, but we also will give you money to do that. So as I said, it's a portfolio of cash incentives. It encourages high-efficiency equipment and drives demand and energy savings, and there is an opportunity for all customer classes. I know this is very commercially centered, but I wanted to point out for all the residential Detroit Lakes Public Utility customers, there's a residential program, and that program does incent you for purchasing Energy Star appliances. We do have a new LED program this year if you buy residential LEDs or compact fluorescents. And once a year we have an appliance turn-in that'll be coming up here in the spring. And heating and cooling equipment's probably the biggest one for residential. And what else do we offer? Well, 84% of the savings in the electricity arena come from our business community, so a lot of the programs really center around all of you and what you do every day. And the biggest program we have is the lighting program. We do have a lighting program for both new construction and also for retrofitting what you have existing. And another program that's pretty much universal to all of you is heating and cooling equipment. You all have it in your business. And at some point you're going to need to maybe upgrade your air conditioner, or maybe you want to put in a furnace with a high efficiency motor in it. Those are things we'll all use. But in addition, for some of the manufacturers or the more industrial users, we do have some variable frequency drive and pump incentives, compressed air system efficiency, and commercial refrigeration, food service. Specialty measures is like computer network program management, so we can't rely on our workers to always shut their computer stations off. This helps power them down at night. And then custom, anything that's not on the list, we can work with customers. If they have an idea to save electricity, and there's technology that's new, or maybe it's bigger than something we've seen, we have engineers to help us figure out what it'll save, and then we can give you money for that as well. Labels that we look for are the Energy Star label. That's both residential and some commercial products have the Energy Star label. We also look for the Design Lights Consortium label on lighting, and we'll see that primarily now in the LED arena. That's our #1 market right now for energy savings, as we're seeing more people convert to LEDs, and that may or may not be a great solution for you, but we can help you figure that out. And then AHRI, which is Air Conditioning, Heating, Refrigeration Institute, they give us the documentation that we need to say something is more equipment than baseline equipment. So you're probably wondering where I've been all your life, because you were just waiting and hoping someone would come along and offer you money so that you could make this change to modern equipment. And this isn't a gimmick. It's not a little black box technology, and it's not an Amish heater. And if you ever get asked to buy one of those, say no. And if you don't have courage, have the salesperson call Josh, and he can do it for you, because it's not proven. So I was kind of hard on you all earlier. I did call you all wasters. That's probably not the most polite speaker you've had. But I also want to share with you that we do have hope, that we also are changers, that Detroit Lakes has been very successful in embracing the program and has been using it now for many years and using it wonderfully with great results. So you're also changers. So if you feel better, you're wasting changers or you're changing wasters, whichever one you like. But we do have, in the last 2 years alone, we had 99 rebates and 56 commercial energy assessments where we go and work with your business to help you figure out what you can do to save energy, or if you have any questions and call us in, we can help answer. Is this technology a good choice for you, or maybe are you getting a little bit of whitewashing? We also have brought in $135,000 in rebate dollars to the community, and the savings are over 2.2 million kilowatt hours annually, and that's the equivalent of taking 321 cars off the road. So you can give yourself a round of applause for that. So if Josh and I have not visited you yet, we would love to. But how? How do we do this? And I plan to tell you how you can do this with some pictures and some more words. But hopefully this one needs no further explanation, right? Some of you look confused, so I'll go ahead and tell you. We got here the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. So much like Rub-a-Dub-Dub, we have an unlikely cast of characters today that I'll talk about for you. We have a grocer, a manufacturer, and then a senior care facility worker. So that, for some reason, the correlation was there for me. I don't know if it works for any of you. But you're wondering, what do these people have in common? And really what they have in common, if your brain is as random as mine, you might have figured it out. Anyone figure it out? Good, congratulations, your brain's not as random as mine. But it's energy savings. These are the three businesses I'll highlight for you that they've all saved electricity with the program. And the first of these is Central Market, and we've been working with Central Market for years. They've been instrumental in kind of driving change at the grocery store. Chris Oswald over there has taken training on energy efficiency, and he's really putting it into the technology that they have over at the grocery store. Not only is it more efficient, but I think you can all agree it looks more beautiful, it's more functional, and everything is still just as fresh and tasty as it's ever been. Last year they worked on refrigeration, and the refrigeration project will lead to over 250,000 kilowatt hours saved. And they received $11,000 in rebates for that. And in addition to the rebates, which is nice for the upfront cost, they'll save $15,000 each year in electricity costs because of the changes that they made. And specifically, what they've done is, here's a case, a meat and seafood case, and I don't have a pointer. If I would have been nice to Tom, I could have asked for his, but I was kind of mean to him. But the case has LED case lighting, which is a rebatable item, as well as efficient motors. They're called electrically commutated motors, and that case came equipped with those as well. And then you'll notice the space lighting is LED. They're actually LED fixtures, and that's worth a rebate. So that one little area was worth 3 separate rebates. And here we have cheese. That's what I focus on. That's a cheese case. So I'm not going to forward it. There's a little bit more here. But we have some LED lighting, and if any of you walked down this aisle before, you probably noticed it was really cold because all these cases were open, and then the cold air goes out into the aisles, and then you have to wear your winter coat in the summer. But this is where your mind's going to be blown. This is why I got 20 minutes, is because now not only are you more comfortable, but they're also saving money. So the upper right-hand corner, I want to point out that when you buy your carbs from Central Market, you're buying them under LED lighting. So if that matters, you guys probably don't care what lighting is there. But the good news is they are saving money, and you don't notice a difference. And then also, the bottom right-hand corner, there's some track lighting over their seasonal floral arrangements. And again, not noticeable to the customer unless it's noticeably improved. And finally, if you're grocery shopping and you look up, which is really weird, unless you're a nerd, and you like to look at lighting, But if you do look up, you'll notice that you have some LED high bays. There's 2 new high bays right there, and pretty soon the whole store will be filled with high bays. And that is worth a lot of rebate dollars because they're great savings, but also year after year they'll get to enjoy those. So this one was worth its own slide because they're flowers. So if you just want to take a minute and just take a deep breath, relax. The beauty of the flowers provided by Central Market, and again, this isn't the point that they're pretty. The point is that they're lit with LED lighting. So if any of you have a convenience store or another grocery application, or if you're a florist in the room, here's one measure that you could do to save some electricity, and at the same time, your product looks beautiful. And remember to bring someone flowers tonight. Team Industries, a local manufacturer, they had another great project. They have a pending rebate of over $12,000, and they'll save over 366,000 kilowatt hours because they've changed their old metal halide lighting. And you can notice the top picture is the metal halide lighting, and the bottom picture is new LED high bays. The one big thing, if you look at the floor on the pictures, you'll see a definite difference. And then the color rendering, so the color of everything is just more vivid. So they get some added incentives other than just the money from the electrical savings. Here's another picture, and another before and after picture. But I'm just seeing if you're awake, and also it's almost Easter. And also, it begs the question, which is the before and which one's the after, right? So, if you're not laughing, you were probably looking at your cell phone. So you should probably look up now. Or it was a bad joke. So we worked, again, with another business, the nursing home. Just opened their expansion, and we work with new construction, so if anybody's looking at expanding or building something new, make sure you talk to Josh at the utility. We do work with some large projects. We can do kind of a pilot new construction program and look at some unique things, but mostly we just kind of go with the prescribed program and help you and your contractors figure out what you can upgrade to save even more money on that project. And Ecumen decided to go with some LED lighting, heating and cooling equipment, variable frequency drives, and they had a couple Energy Star appliances that qualified. So their rebate pending is over $10,000. And it's beautiful. You'll notice the lobby, and actually the whole new addition is filled with LEDs. And in that right-hand corner, you'll see an LED can light. It's worth $25 in incentives, and that's about what the fixture costs. It costs about $25, so it's a really good incentive. Okay, so this is really cool, but now what should you do? Well, if I were the note-taking sort, this is where I would jot down a couple notes. If you're a customer of Detroit Lakes Public Utility and you want a free energy assessment, just let Josh know that. And if you want the free monthly newsletter, the e-newsletter called Questline, you should also let Josh know that. And if you're a residential customer on the public utility, go ahead and let Josh know that too, because he can get you a newsletter for that. A free energy assessment is simply just kind of us coming and telling you ideas, ranking them 1 through 5. Here's where to focus your next project if you want to put a little bit of investment back into the business and save some electricity. And then the final thing we do is we help our trade allies, so the contractors, so that they stay aware of the program, and as the program changes every year, they know what to help promote for the customers, and we do help them fill out paperwork and that kind of stuff. So if anyone in the room is a contractor, don't be scared of the paperwork, because I'm actually good at it. So if you don't know why you should do this by now, then maybe you were reading your phone the whole time, or you took a nap. But other than the saving money and the right thing to do discussion that we had, here's the nice conclusion. Lowering your utility bills is a priority for everybody, and your bottom line is just that much better when you cut out some of the expenses. And also the equipment's typically manufactured to a little bit higher standard. I know Energy Star and Design Lights, they test this product in a lab for years. They can help decide what's going to last, what's going to live up to the specifications that it says it's going to. And you know, the initial rebate really helps you fund the upfront costs, but the big change is what you'll see over the life of that equipment in electric savings. So there's other people to ask your contractor. We oftentimes have people call us, they got a bid from the contractor and it'll say one thing and it won't necessarily qualify. So just tell your contractor, I want to know what a new air conditioner costs, but then I want to know what the air conditioner costs that will meet the rebate program. And have them give you two prices and we can do the math and tell you, does it make sense for you to make that upgrade for the extra $500? Talk to your lenders. They might know about some loan programs. The state of Minnesota has some agencies with some loans for efficiency projects, and also the local economic development department should have some information on revolving loan funds that might be able to be used for energy efficiency. And of course you have Josh at the utility, and he can answer questions or get anything set up that we talked about today. And here is our contact information if anyone wants to write it down. And then you get to hear more from me if you want me to come over to your place of business. Other than that, I am open for questions if we have time. Yes. The question was if we have any rebates for sustainable energies, so adding renewables such as solar or wind. We do not have rebates for those because technically you're not saving energy, you're just providing a different source to make the electricity. So our program really is designed to cut usage and not replace the source. But the city does have a plan in place so that if you do want to add wind or solar, then we can certainly work together. There's some documentation and stuff to help you through that program.
Who knew electricity could be so funny? I just want to keep moving, so as I know lunchtime comes quick. Our next speaker is Chet Bowden. Chet is the Northwest Minnesota Regional Analyst for the Department of Employment and Economic Development. You thought your business card was really long. Let me read that again. Chet is the Northwest Minnesota Regional Analyst for Department of Employment and Economic Development. We welcome Chet.
Good morning. My name's Chet, and I'm an energy waster. Right, Amy, that feels amazing. Thank you. In fact, I also got 20 minutes, but I kind of just want to talk more about energy wasting. That was great. But I'm actually obliged to talk about labor market information, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but thank you. That was a really good presentation. So like Carrie said, I'm Chet Bowden, and I'm the labor market analyst for Northwest Minnesota, which includes this region and a few others, 26 counties total. At DEED, we collect a lot of data from businesses, job seekers, and we have economic development regions to help us organize that data and make it usable for you and your business. Okay, how's this thing work? Right here? Okay. Great. So real quick, this is the geographies that we use. This area is located in Economic Development Region 4. Of course, we're in Becker County here. And that's just some stuff to keep in mind as we're moving through some of this information. So quick, I just want to run over the unemployment rate and what that means. So a lot of people talk about the unemployment rate. It comes up when we talk about, who's looking for work and hiring situations and stuff like that. But really what this measures is how productive your local economy is. It's less a measure of who's working and who's not, as it is, how much are you getting out of the available workforce that you have? Are the people that looking for work finding work? Are the people that are working to using the most of their talent and energy? And that all comes down to efficiency, and so something you want to keep in mind. So technically, when we talk about the unemployment rate, this is the measure. It's the number of people that are unemployed, so people seeking work, out of the available labor force. And again, the lower that rate is, the better. That means that you're being more productive in your local economy. Now, I just put, to contrast that, what are some of the other things that people think of when they think about unemployment? There are groups of people that aren't working that aren't technically in that category. That doesn't mean that that they don't want to work. It might just mean that they're frustrated from the job-seeking process. They have other things going on, kids, possibly an illness, something like that. But again, the unemployment rate is not just a measure of people that are unemployed or people that are getting unemployment insurance, for that matter. And we have actually the data for the number of people getting unemployment insurance on the DEED website if you ever want to go check that out. So then, taking a step back, we talk about the labor force and labor force in Detroit Lakes. And what's that made up of? Well, we look at anybody that's working when we take that measure. Now, this here is some data from 2011, and it talks about the approximate working age population, 18 to 64. That's not the labor force, but it's important to note that when this demographic is different, that's going to affect the amount of people in your labor force. So, in this case, Detroit Lakes has less people in that working age group than the average state community. Average state's about 60%. I think Detroit Lakes, Becker County is around 57%. So not a huge difference, but when you think about the formula we were looking at just a second ago here, when that labor force number goes down, that means that your unemployment rate's going to go up, even if there's the same amount of people that are employed, technically, in your region. So what we're saying then is that the unemployment rate is really a measure of the productivity of the available labor force. Okay, here's just a little bit graphs. Bear with me. I know we're not all data people, but you can see the unemployment and the employment and the labor force numbers go up and down. And that's a measure of seasonality, actually, that we see a lot of in this area. So here we have the labor force and the employment, the space in between is people that are unemployed. Here's the unemployment rates over time. This is Becker County compared to some other areas in west central and northwest Minnesota. Becker County has been sort of in the middle. Douglas County's done really well. Crow Wing County struggled a little more than Douglas County or than Becker County. So we're going to talk a little bit, now that we have a good idea, right, about what makes up the unemployment rate and what makes up the labor force, we'll talk a little bit about what we at DEED think is going to happen moving forward and what you can think about when you're planning your hiring process or recruiting process or any of that stuff. So we expect productivity to actually slow down a little bit. The availability of workers is not going to be like it was, especially during the recession when a lot of people were looking for work. We also expect the labor force to shrink because a lot of people in the baby boomer generation are going to be leaving. And we still expect some job growth, but at a lower rate. So what does that mean for jobs? Well, in the northwest part of Minnesota, we're expecting nearly 60,000 replacement openings So out of the people that are retiring, we're going to need to find 60,000 new people in the 26 county region, or attract them to the region to fill those replacement openings. Now that doesn't include the 30,000 odd jobs that we expect companies that will add during that time. So you can see this is quite the challenge. We have a lot to go ahead, a long road ahead of us as far as workforce development goes. And it's really my job to come here and show you the numbers, but I think you can read between the lines that a lot of your energy is going to be focused on workforce development in the next 5 to 10 years. And it's going to be a long struggle, not something that you can focus on in the short term as much, but what investments do we make today to make sure our workforce is strong tomorrow? I really like this graph here. It shows in black the number of people from each age group. And then the yellow streak in there is what part of that age group is involved in the labor force. And I think it just visualizes for us how that generation is going to be leaving the workforce, and the kind of hole that that's going to leave. You can see the age, I think it's 50 to 54 group is the largest in terms of population. And the number of people in the labor force out of that work group is larger than the overall populations in every other group even. Okay, so the scary part is over. Everybody can relax. We talk about what else is going on that's really good right now and how we can leverage that. So I'm sure probably a lot of you have heard, we lose a lot of people that are going to college, that are straight out of high school. They want to go explore what it's like in the city. They want to go to college. And I think communities generally take that pretty hard. They say, yeah, what are we doing wrong? Why are people leaving? And I'm here to tell you, you're not doing anything wrong. Frankly, that's just the norm. Rarely is there an exception to that rule. However, something really important to focus on is that in the last 5 years, we've seen the age group from 25 to 34 actually about break even. So while we see some people are still leaving, we see a lot of people are actually moving here. And that's what this graph shows a little bit. What we did for this is we said, well, if someone's 20 to 25 in 2009, we expect that in 2013 they're going to be in that 25 to 29 group, and that's our expected population. So that's what the red bar is. Those are the people that 5 years ago we expected to be in this age group and living here. Now the green bar is how many people were actually here in 2013. So you can see that this is a strong generation of people that want to be here. And not only that, these people come with workforce experience, they come with more education, they come with connections, and they choose to be here rather than choosing not to be here. What else about this generation? Well, we see job tenures for them are falling with age. Forbes said that most of the time people stay about 4.5, 5 years in a job. But for this generation, it's more around 3 years. So by 2022, this group will be in the 25 to 45 age group. So you can see how that lines up with some of those statistics I just showed you. Now, what brings them here and what keeps them here? Well, the Upper Valley Midwest Regional, the Upper Minnesota Valley Regional Development Commission, wow. They did a study as to what attracts and retains people to the region. And they found that jobs was actually not in the top 10 reasons for people move to this area, which I found shocking. People generally are moving here more for safety, for family, for affordable housing, outdoor recreation, right? Golf courses, the great trails, running trails, bike trails that we have up here, that kind of thing. Also, this region has a different education pattern than some of the other narratives in the country and the state. Here, more people are ready to work after they complete high school. We have a higher percentage of people that finish associate's degrees rather than bachelor's degrees. And that's reflected in the type of jobs that are also in this area. And I know there's been some discussion about housing in Detroit Lakes, how that goes. I've heard some of these discussions myself in meetings I've been to. And if you're looking to bring people into the workforce that you already have, I believe affordable housing, as we saw, in this study, was a huge part of that. And we're not working with the narrative that everybody needs to get a bachelor's degree and everybody needs to, have a six-figure salary right out of the gate, or the way people imagine that might happen. But if we can focus on securing and making the jobs that are here valuable to people, making them attracted to them, including the region, I think that will help very much. So what kind of jobs am I talking about? Well, just some quick numbers here. These are the jobs for Economic Development Region 4, which includes Becker County. We have, because you can see most of the jobs in the area are kind of the mid-level jobs. We have office and management support jobs are very high in the area. Production jobs, of course, the great manufacturing that happens here. Transportation jobs are very important to the local economy. I'd also like to point your attention to some of the wage differentials. So the highlighted regions are industries where wages are much lower in this region versus the state on average. So for healthcare practitioners, for example, in this slide, those people get paid less in this region by a significant margin. Management occupations, engineers, some of the higher level education jobs. But on the flip side, a lot of those mid-level jobs, we're actually meeting the state average as far as pay goes, and actually exceeding it in a lot of places. It's just the same data, except for median wages versus the 25 percentile. So as someone's tenure in work goes up, we seem to see a bigger differential in wages. So how do we keep people, right? We talked a little bit about how we attract them. Well, how do we keep them as well? And I think that this data is pretty telling. Again, management occupations by the median wage comparison is almost $10 difference in this region versus the state average. And then some of your higher tenured employees, again, see quite a difference. Okay, but what about cost of living, right? There is a cost of living difference, and you really can't have the wage discussion without having the cost of living discussion. And so we at DEED also came up with a cost of living webpage where you can go and you can plug in the county that you live in, you can plug in your family size, and you can see what the basic costs of living are for 7 different cost categories. And I'll have the website link up here in a second that you can see. But here are the cost categories that we have on the website. So they're healthcare, housing, again, housing, childcare, transportation, taxes, food, and other. This is just a little description about what each of those mean, how we get the information. For instance, childcare, we get from the Childcare Aware Minnesota nonprofit. when you're using the tool, if you do get a chance to go look at it, the family size that you put in there is going to determine some of the different costs, and the workforce is going to determine some of the other costs. How many in here have kids? Right. How many feel like this person on the screen sometimes? Yeah. I hear you. So we put up a little bit here. If you want to take a look at this presentation at any time, I'll make sure Carrie can share it with all of you so you can look at the numbers a little closer. But just from what we have here, what we see is that the cost of living in Detroit Lakes is about 90% of the state average. Now, to live in the metro area, it's about 110% of the state average. And if you want to compare Becker to the cities, it's about 83%. So you can see the differences there. There are some differences. There's my contact information. Thank you for paying attention and going through some of these statistics. I got a second for a question or two. But I hope this gives us a good idea about what we're looking at down the road here as far as the workforce goes. What changes you can think about as employers to make sure that you're going to have the workforce you need in the future. And again, more than anything else, I think it's important to think about regionally, the needs here and how you can work together to get people interested and active in the Detroit Lakes Becker area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chet. And yes, we will make sure that your PowerPoint is available and any other information that you got here. Which brings me to, you've got a red folder in front of you. There is some contact information from all of our speakers and agencies. So if you need to do some follow-up, call our office at the Chamber, but you do have some numbers and emails in front of you too. We're on the home stretch, so I wanted to make sure to include some updates from last year. We had some really great speakers and great projects that we got to hear about, and some of them had yet to get their shovel in the ground. So we wanted to get a few updates on what happened with those projects, where they're at, what the future holds, and all of those great things. So I first want to call on Jim Boos. He is with the Stonebrook Properties, among other developments.
Thank you, and thankfully I only have about a 3-minute update for you, so I'll try not to bore you too much. But yeah, I'm Jim Boos. I'm a commercial real estate guy. A couple of the partners and guys I worked closely with are also here. Brent Keene is here. Jeff Schlossman is over here. We're affiliated with Goldmark Schlossman Commercial Real Estate Services. We work throughout the region. We're based out of Fargo. And we also act not only as commercial real estate brokers, but as developers and investors on a lot of projects, many right here in the community. What we were asked to talk about was our apartment development project, and it really ties into what Chet was talking about with labor force development. And a really important part of labor force development is having housing, or a good mix of housing for the labor force to grow and sustain business growth. One story that really struck me and motivated me was about 3 or 4 years ago when some of the best friends of my parents were retiring. So they were about 65 years old, lived in Fargo, and they wanted to move home to Detroit Lakes. They're originally from Detroit Lakes, and proceeded to try to get an apartment in Detroit Lakes, and were unsuccessful after calling virtually every apartment complex or property manager in town. They were told everywhere was full, they could get on a waiting list, and in some cases couldn't even get a phone call returned to them. So there was a couple that wanted to make a conscious decision to move to this community, couldn't find a place to live, and to this day just remained in Fargo. And I thought about that, and I kept thinking that's just one retired couple that could have been contributing to the local economy by buying groceries or health care or cars or whatever it is that we were not able to accommodate as a community. So that was just one little story that prompted Brent and I to start thinking about apartment development. Brent really took the lead on this about 2 years ago, looking for land sites and working with the city a little bit on a housing study. We talked about that last year. We were supportive of the city's efforts to conduct a housing study, not only pertaining to apartments, but housing of all types of housing. And it just reinforced the need for better options for rental housing in this community. So Brent took the lead, found a piece of land. We are now completing our first apartment building on that piece of land. The piece of land is in the north and east part of Detroit Lakes, close to the Pelican River. So it's north of Highway 34 and east of Minnesota State Community and Technical College. So northeast part of the community. We bought almost 10-acre chunk of land, Brent and I and a couple other partners. And the piece of land could probably accommodate up to maybe 5 apartment buildings in there, maybe as many as 170 units of apartments. I don't think we'll end up building that many units or apartments on that site, but it could. It really depends on the demand. So what we have right now is last summer we started construction on a 33-unit apartment building. If you have maybe seen it going up, if you haven't, drive up there, take a look at it, help us fill the units. But the building is just wrapping up right now. In the next 2 weeks, I think we're just doing some final wrap-up work, some cleaning and dusting. It's a 33-unit apartment building. The cost came in a little over $3 million. So that's what it costs to build an apartment building these days. And therefore, rents are high as well. I mean, we're looking at 3-bedroom rents of around $1,100 a month, 2-bedroom rents, $925, I think, something like that. We've got about 12 of the units rented thus far, so we're getting there. We're not even done construction, and again, we're approaching halfway leased up on the building. So we're excited to get this building filled up and probably start the second building later this summer, and we'll just see how the demand goes. We're not going to build too many. We'll just see how the demand goes, and again, a key part of trying to help the community grow, it integrates in with workforce development, economic development. We need good housing options for the labor force, and we're hoping our little project is just one little filler in there. So with that, I can take any questions. If anyone's interested in renting apartments on the yellow sheet that Carrie talked about, there is an email address to our leasing manager. Call or email Sally. She'd be happy to show you around. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Next, I want to call on GL Tucker. GL works with M-State and their custom training, and they have some exciting news and some exciting projects they're going to be doing yet this spring and into the summer. So welcome, GL.
Well, thanks everybody, and thanks for allowing me to give you a quick update on M-State. And I think Bob Aliso set the gold standard this morning for quickness, and I hope to at least stay with him. So I'm not going to be up here very long, but I'll certainly take your questions. We got a quick PowerPoint, and you want me to? Okay, let's slide through that for me. That'd be perfect. I'm GL Tucker. I'm with M-State, as Carrie said. My group, I lead the custom training group. We're the group that works with business and industry. Some partners here, we worked with Ecumen, BTD on projects, just to name a few here. But we work all around the area, and so that's what we do. Our group does. Basically, we work with incumbent workers and help train incumbent workers or add skills for incumbent workers. A little bit about us, just some quick stats. You can see our head count served. The left hand is our total head count for M-State. We serve just about 8,500 students. Our custom training group serves about 5,500 students last year, employees, students, whatever you want to say. And then of that first slide head count, our online enrollment is about 1,000 people. So that's a little bit about M-State. A little bit, the next slide is an update about us and some work we're doing. We're going through out here at this campus. We have an academic planning process we're going through, and certainly one of the areas is around manufacturing and where we want to go with that. This is a slide that lists on the left-hand side our manufacturing related degrees that we have at one of our, not at this campus, but one of our campuses, and then on the right are some of the custom training options that we would have. where we can come in and provide skills-based training for you. And so that's a little bit about what we're doing with that. The next slide is probably the biggest thing that we have a change. We recently were awarded a $2.47 million Department of Labor grant. And with that grant, what we plan to do is take a little different approach than probably most colleges are taking, and probably the reason actually we got the grant. But just to give you the elevator speech, and Chet kind of did my work for me here, I don't think I have to tell you that the biggest economic development issue in this region is workforce. I mean, I see Janet over shaking her head and putting her head down now. So, I mean, it's everybody. And there's a study going on in Fargo-Moorhead, for the Fargo-Moorhead area, Cass and Clay counties and the whole area up there. And what they're looking at is this whole workforce issue. And what they brought in a consultant from Texas, and what he's learned so far is that in every industry sector and in every skill level within that industry sector, there is a critical shortage of labor. So that's the news, and that's where we're at. So that's why with this grant, I get into the story. And then my elevator speech about workforce, and that is this. In Minnesota, we just went over 80% graduating high school. So we're now at 81.4. And so before we were at 79.6, believe it or not. And so that's good news. We're making progress. I don't know that we're ever going to, how far we'll get. And then you couple that with the fact that we know statistically that only 2/3 of those graduates will go on to post-secondary education. And of those 2/3, only about half will complete. Those are statistics. So what's coming at you as a workforce is half of them got high school skills or less, at a time when you're telling us that you need more skills. So we got a disconnect here to start, okay? And so what we think we got some ideas to help with that, and that's what I'll talk to you about just briefly, and we can answer your questions. But what we're going to do is we're really targeting that 50%, that group coming at you with those lower skills. And so with this grant, what we're doing is we're developing 3 additional mobile training trailers. One around the concept of a CDL license, commercial driver's license, one around safety, construction and industry safety, and one around precision manufacturing, blueprint reading, machining, mechatronics, industrial maintenance, those types of things. And what we want to do is just be able to give people skills and give people a license. I mean, no offense to education, but part of it, but for the most part, it's been a button seat model. And for a lot of these kids today, that's just not the model. I mean, that's why they don't go on. And no offense to my partners in Alex Tech or Central Lakes, but honestly, you don't need somebody to come to college for a year to get a CDL. You just need a CDL. I mean, let's just give them what they need. That's why they're coming. That's what they need, right? And so that's what we're going to do with these trailers. And so these will be up and running this summer, and we'll be able to service and go to the students. And that can look like wherever that looks like. That could be at a business to add skills. That can be a group of students and wherever they are. And so we can go to them. They don't need to come to us for that lab work. So we think that makes some sense. And so that's where we're heading. Next slide. And the reason we think that works is because we know it does, because we have a mobile welding trailer. And this is our mobile welding training trailer. It's a 12-station multi-process, and currently, or the past 4 weeks, it's been up in East Grand Forks at American Crystal Sugar, adding skills to those people, to some of their maintenance workers. But that trailer has been North Dakota to Little Falls and all points in between over the past year and a half, and finding students and whatever those students might look like. And a lot of times we've had companies, we had a bridge company call us and say, I can't get anybody that will certify my bridge builders. Can you do that for me? We had the people working on the Sanford Health, the Otis Elevator Group said, we can't put the elevators at Sanford's new building till we get them certified. Will you certify them for us? Yeah, we can do that. So that's what we do. And so whatever it looks like, we can do that. So that's what we're going to do. So that gives you an idea of where we're heading. This is healthcare is obviously a big part of what we do. Healthcare people are in here, big part of our programming. We do a lot of healthcare work, and we have a lot of healthcare degrees, and certainly that's a big part of what we do, both on the custom training side and obviously the degree side, and that's just a slide kind of depicting some of that work. And then the next two slides are kind of two things that we're really involved in, I feel strong about. I mean, I can tell you that when you have the workforce that issues we have, that your employees leave your supervisor long before they leave your organization. And you all know that, but that's a fact. And so a lot of work we're doing right now is around supervisory leadership skills training. And we're doing that in all industry sectors. We're doing it a lot in manufacturing, but we're also doing it in healthcare. And a lot of long-term care facilities. We have a person that stays really busy doing this kind of work, and we really feel that it really is paying off, and one of our customers would tell us that. So I got a couple of slides up there around that. So I guess that's really about all we had today. Little update. Like I said, the academic planning process is ongoing. We're real excited about our trailers and where we're going with that. Those will be up and running this summer, and excited to get going. Are there any questions about M-State or anything I can answer for you? I did bring some handouts over under the Essentia sign if you want to pick one up to give you a little more information. And if you have anything, we'd love to partner with you. We think this workforce issue is going to take a partnership. We're willing to be a partner with you and try to work on whatever we can to try to move the needle, make a difference. Yes, sir. Say that again. Well, what we see, and everybody can look at whatever they see, but most of what we see will say that jobs of the future are going to take some training beyond high school, and that's I've seen numbers as high as 80% are going to require more than high school skills in the next few years, and that's probably already the case. I mean, that you need something more than a high school skill right now, or you need some sort of credential. And so we really think that that's why we're doing this, to give short credentials, to give somebody some of those one-up skills. And then if the student wants to go on and get a degree, so be it. I mean, that's what, I mean, I'm not here to knock four-year degrees. I have one, my kids have one, my wife's a teacher, but, they're not for everybody. And so we think that that's why these short certificates and stuff make sense, and to give somebody that short credential, and then if they want to go on, they can. And then they can take advantage of BTDs, or Ecumen's got a program. You can go over there and be a CNA, and then you can get a scholarship and go, and Sanford does too, and get your RN degree if that's what you want to do. And, but at least you got a path. So, to answer your question, long answer for you. Anything else? Thank you.
We literally had to bring our next speaker down from the mountain. We welcome Jeff Staley from Detroit Mountain Recreation Area.
Good morning. I'll be brief. GL said he was going to be brief, but I'll be more brief than that. I first apologize. I have a cold here, but I'll get through it. I can't do any talk without thanking the community. Look out in the room, see individual donors as well as businesses. So I always want to take an opportunity to recognize the community support, individual and business support. So thank you to those that are out there. A year has passed since I've been here last time, and what a successful year it's been. Before I go into some of our numbers for the year, I want to revisit some statistics that I shared last year that the Minnesota Ski Area Association did in their 2012-2013 study on economic impact. And in that study, they determined there's 308,000 skiers and snowboarders in the state of Minnesota. Those 308,000 skiers and snowboarders have an economic impact of $400 million statewide. 283 million in direct spending on and off the mountain. So a sizable economic impact for sure. With a ski area in our backyard now, we are seeing some of that spending in our community with visits from the entire outstate area, North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Canada. So we're happy to see that impact here statewide. Last year I also showed a slide where our projection for skier visits was between 30 and 40,000 is what we had hoped to achieve. And I'm happy to report that we fell just 22 visits short of 42,000. Thank you. I'm also happy to report that we surpassed that number, we achieved that number in 76 days of operation. And our scheduled season was 82 days long, so had we had an additional 6 days, we certainly would have broke through the 45,000 visit mark. Over the course of those 76 days between the day after Thanksgiving, November 28th, and March 14th, our lifts ran a total of 800 hours. During that 800 hours of operation, we had over 150 employees work in excess of 35,000 labor hours for a total payroll of over 400,000 during that period. So certainly added impact for our area. So a success by any measure, certainly. As we wrap up the season, our board of directors are already prioritizing improvements for our next season, all things that will improve that overall guest experience, creating a truly unique place. Plans to replace our rope tow in the beginner area with a magic carpet to make that a little bit easier, open additional ski runs, improve efficiencies in our rental department, in our cafe. On our busiest day, we saw over 1,600 ticketed skiers. In fact, we did that on 3 different Saturdays, and in many days in excess of 1,000 visits. So we found where we need to make some improvements with that threshold capacity. So of course, skiing's not the end of the story. Next month, we'll begin work on our downhill gravity trails. The group out of Bentonville, Arkansas that built our cross-country flow trails last summer will relocate to Detroit Lakes for the summer again. Hoping to have those downhill trails complete by July 11th, at which time we would open up our lift service Fridays through Sundays for both mountain bike traffic as well as pedestrian sightseeing. Those downhill gravity trails, of course, complement our cross-country flow trails that we had built last summer, built for all levels and abilities, and happy to report that we'll give everybody an opportunity to get out on those trails with a partnership with Shields and Trek Bikes, because we'll be renting bikes 7 days a week through the summer months. So we've got 60 mountain bikes of all different styles to rent. And then finally, some very exciting news. We are working in partnership with IMBA, or the International Mountain Bike Association, to develop our area, the Detroit Lakes area, into a designated and recognized ride center, one of only a few in the United States. So that certainly will have as much economic impact as the skiing season will. So that's kind of it for my my brief update. And again, to all of those that contributed and supported us, thank you. To all those that came out and skied and tubed, thank you. And hopefully you'll come out this summer and try mountain biking and be back next winter. Time for questions, or any questions at all? Yeah, the question was with regard to expanding our tubing area. That's certainly an area we are looking at, and that was a very popular activity, certainly beyond our capacity. So we hope to be able to offer a little bit more capacity in that area. Thank you.
Well, Janet, you're next. I think we've pointed at you with workforce issues and all of those great things, but we really welcome you and thank you for telling your story of the new improvements that you've done in your facility.
Thank you. I'm Janet Green, the Executive Director at Ecumen Detroit Lakes, and what an honor to be here with all of the people here who are making life better for those of us that live in this area. What an amazing community we live in. And yes, I am a recovering energy abuser, and it's a great program. I will endorse that. And I'd like to thank Jill and Chet for making it even harder for me to sleep at night, reminding me of all the workforce issues and how it's not going to get better, and how we all have to partner together to solve this issue. Ecumen Detroit Lakes has celebrated over 50 years of service now. We're a full continuum long-term care organization, started small as a nursing home. Now we're serving over 300 people a day, trying to meet our community's long-term care needs. And I'm proud to say we really almost have completed our construction. It's been a major, major construction project, very disruptive to our services. But I will say our employees and the people that lived through the construction are just so resilient, and so we're so great about it. And now we're really celebrating and enjoying our new spaces. We really made the place, the nursing home, specifically better, not bigger. It was all about enhancing life, enhancing services, and making people helping people get better after an injury, illness, surgery. So some of the highlights of our $12 million building project, of which we've received over $4 million in gifts to make happen. So thank you to those of you that were a part of that. We have a new state-of-the-art therapy center, which includes a therapeutic pool with 2 treadmills in it, because we know if you have arthritis, Parkinson's, or if you want to really recover fast so you can get back on the mountain, underwater treadmills really enhance your ability to recover and regain strength without putting undue stress and damage on other joints. So that's up and running, and it's going well. We built a new short stay area. People that are coming in to recover and rehabilitate have different needs than the people that live there long term. So we've developed a new unit where we meet their needs and provide a really quality experience. We also added wellness initiatives, because I think as we age, we all want to age and stay really healthy as long as we can, and we want a short period of time where we're disabled, we're in a nursing home, we're needing significant care. So our wellness center will include a snack bar where we're offering healthy options and alternatives, and that should be opening soon. We have a massage room, we have a steam shower, we have a fitness classroom where we do yoga, tai chi, and also just educational programs so that we can all age well and be healthy. Other than our building project, I'm proud to say our nursing home has been given a 5-star rating by the federal government, Central for Medicare and Medicaid Services, so we're proud to be a 5-star home. And some of the projects, thank you. You know, I get to work with 220 some of the best people in our community, but we are looking for about 30 more. So if anybody's interested, come see me. So some of the projects we're working on really address workforce issues, which is included with affordable housing, is based on the reimbursement in the rural area for healthcare workers, especially in long-term care. If you saw Chet's statistics, part of the reason our wages are lower is that our reimbursement is lower. And we're tied into that reimbursement system, which limits our ability to pay people a better wage, a living wage, and to encourage them to stay here and not go to Minneapolis where they can make more money. We're also the recipient of a new Margaret A. Cargill Foundation grant where we're partnering with the MNSCUs. And so if you graduate with a nursing degree from one of the area MNSCUs and you work at an Ecumen facility throughout the state, if you stay up to 10 years, you can receive $20,000 in bonuses for the longevity and for being a part of our services. So we help pay for schooling, and now we're going to help pay for retention. Some of the other fun things we're doing as long as we're here in this beautiful Holmes Center, we have a Minnesota Arts Grant that we're partnering with the team here, and we're bringing our residents here for events. They want real life, they want to be a part of the community, so we have a grant that allows us to pay for staff, transportation, tickets, so that we can participate in the activities that are available here. Also, Amy's staff is coming to the home and bringing arts projects. So those that can't get out or aren't able to get out or choose not to come can also experience the arts in their home setting. So we've got lots of things going on. Priorities this year is really make life better for those that are living and recovering in our home and to fill those job openings. So thank you.
Thank you, Janet. One last update that we want to invite is Lad Lingus from the Detroit Lakes Public Schools School Board.
Well, I'm really glad that I didn't have to follow Amy because my presentation is not nearly as funny. I do wish I could have followed Chet or GL talking about some of the workforce things. I think Chet had a slide up there that said something about what investments are we making today for tomorrow's workforce or tomorrow's future. And hopefully we can make some of those investments together and help Janet sleep at night. Because it is a significant need that we have. I noticed on the front of the podium here it says something about the class of 1939. Are there any graduates from the class of 1939 here? Okay, I had a great prize for you if you were here. They might be over at Janet's facility, I'm guessing maybe so. Anyhow, from the school year standpoint, around this time of year, it moves fairly quickly in from the learning standpoint into the testing season. Around the 1st of April, most of the rest of the year is spent on some of the state mandated tests for our students that they have to take to see what they've learned throughout the year. So that's kind of what's going to be happening in the buildings. Enrollment continues to grow. We're over the 3,000 barrier. It's the highest enrollment since the early 90s. So the the pressure and the tension on the building situation isn't getting any easier, and so that's mostly what I'll probably talk about here, give you the updates that I can. There are still 4 options on the table. You haven't heard from us for a while in regards to community meetings, because one of the options that came up late last year was an option to do a co-location project at M-State. And really what we're working on now is a lot of behind the scenes stuff, because a project like that has never been done before in the state of Minnesota. And I'm not sure nationwide where they have similar type projects. So because it's never been done before, there's a lot of things that need to be fleshed out. We have established a strategic planning committee, and so they're working on some of those issues. There's 10 members on that committee from the school staff. There's 10 members on that committee from the M-State staff. I believe GL's on that committee, and Marcus Locker and a few others in the room here. And then 2 or 3 community members that are also providing input. So they've met once now, and I think they have another meeting scheduled for next week on March 25th, and they're moving quickly. They're not letting grass grow under their feet in terms of having their meetings on a regular basis. So that'll help the school board. They'll give us some guidance on some things. In addition to that, we haven't just been sitting around. There's been numerous meetings in January and February, meeting with legislators, the Department of Education, MnSCU officials, the Office of State Finance. Real exciting stuff, but talking about things like who's going to own the land. Can the school district bond for buildings that are not on school district property? Or do we need to look at subdividing the property somehow? Is there bonding money available from the state of Minnesota? MnSCU is a state operation, and so is there bonding money that could be available? And then with all those things, depending on how those answers come back from those legislators, then how do we finance and minimize the impact on our taxpayers in this community? So we've at the March school board meeting, after that we talked about setting another board work session. We're hoping to get some answers back from the state finance folks before the end of March, so we're going to have a board work session sometime in April, and then we'll follow that up with a community meeting end April is what we're hoping to get back to the community with answers and what direction we might be going. So in the end, it's not really about the building, it's about what happens in the buildings. That's the most important thing, but obviously we want to have good quality buildings for those things to happen. And doing some type of a co-location project with M-State, to help in concurrent enrollment, help some of those workforce things, get some of our students farther down the line before they graduate from high school, and get some education that they might be able to come right out of high school and step right into the workforce would maybe alleviate some of those other needs. So I'll just end by the way I started. What investments are we making today for tomorrow's future? So think about that when you walk away today. I'll answer any questions that I can if anybody has anything. Thank you.
All right, I just want to do a really quick wrap up, because I would be remiss if you're not a chamber member and want to be informed on things like events going on, meetings, ways to partner. Talk to me. We'd love to have, make sure everybody knows about the chamber membership opportunity. We are the 25th largest chamber in Minnesota. I don't think we often forget how big our Chamber of Commerce and how supportive we are with our business community. So we thank you for all of that. A couple of meetings coming up, and again, check our website, call our office. We do have a newsletter with those meeting dates. But there's a downtown meeting, Diggin' Downtown DL, on next Tuesday the 24th, 9 a.m. at La Barista. So if you're interested in more information on the downtown construction, and especially that marketing and how we can work cooperatively together, come to that Tuesday the 24th. The Chamber, along with many, many, many partners, are working on a health career fest. We have 200 high school students coming to M-State and getting lots of different sessions and exploring those health career options. We are actually starting the ball rolling on a tour of manufacturing 2016, so you'll be hearing more about that, and let me know if you want to participate. A couple other things that the Chamber is partnering on. League of Women Voters is doing a town hall with our legislatures at Ecumen on the 30th at 7 p.m. And there is a job fair at the Workforce Center on April 9th. So if you need employees, talk to those here from the Workforce Center. They'd love to help you find those next employees. And then lastly, our annual banquet for the Chamber of Commerce is May 7th at M-State. And we have Mark Lindquist coming. You've probably heard him sing the national anthem at Red Hawks games and others. And he's going to be doing some motivational speaking along with our awards and a great dinner. So we invite you out May 7th. With that, we thank you again. Have a great day.